What's up everybody, my name's Big Cam and welcome back to another trailer breakdown and reaction. And we have already done a little teaser trailer breakdown for this movie, and that would be Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day that comes out later this year, this summer I believe. And we have a little poster here and it says, "We deserve to know," and it's got a blue eye, and maybe that's like supposed to be a planet or maybe like a UFO or something. And it's Spielberg's Disclosure Day, coming 6/12/26. What is that? June 12th of 2026. So June is going to be kicking off the summer of absolutely crazy movies, because in June alone I think we have Disclosure Day, Supergirl, Spider-Man, The Odyssey, all around that same time. And then like heading into August we'll have like lanterns and stuff like that going on. So I'm very, very curious on this movie, and this trailer gives us a look at what this movie could be about, and gives us a little bit more of what we could come to expect from this movie. So why don't we jump right on into this trailer and start breaking down things that we notice.
What did you steal?
Secrets. The data they paid me to protect.
Are they people?
No.
Ooh, from director Steven Spielberg, creepy as creepy gets. But we see a company named Wardex, or Vardex, I think it's W though, Wardex. But we see Josh O'Connor's character's name up on a board that says missing employee, and his name seems to be Daniel M. Kellner, and he's a cyber security administrator. So yeah, he seems to have stolen something, and this must be his sister or girlfriend or something. And she's like, "What did you steal?" And he's like, "I stole their secrets, things that they paid me, data that they paid him to protect." And you know, he's like, seems to be showing her, and she's like, "Are they people?" And we see shots of him out in a field, and the field starts to, like, you know, do crop circles, which has always been a thing that are like, oh, crop circles? That must be aliens. But we've never seen them form quite like this, where like they start to form, like he seems to be on the phone and they start to form around him and make these geometric symbols or something. I don't know what this is. Maybe it's like an alien language or something in the field, but so creepy. And he's like, "No, they're not people," you know. So he's maybe discovered some aliens, and he's like, you know, gotta let people know about it. And he's telling whoever this is, maybe his girlfriend, or like I said, maybe it's his sister or something. But let's just go with girlfriend. But from director Steven Spielberg, let's not wait. Let's jump right on into the next portion of this trailer.
Good morning, Kansas City. Let's take a look at today. Today is today's.
Do you understand what she's saying?
I hear her. It's gibberish. I can't understand it.
I can.
Okay, so we see Emily Blunt's character seems to be a weather reporter for Kansas City, Channel 4 weather, and we hear Emily Blunt's character being like, "Okay, let's go over today's weather," and she's trying to spit it out, but it seems like she's getting taken over, or like something is channeling through her to communicate to the airways, you know what I mean? And she's like, let's, and she like starts to get choked up, and then starts like clicking this like alien language, and everyone seems to be watching this on their phones, and you know, the nuns are watching it, and everyone's like, what the hell is going on here? And Josh O'Connor's character is like, you know, showing this to his girlfriend there, and he's like, "Do you understand what she's saying?" And she's like, "I mean, I hear her, it's gibberish, I can't understand it." And he's like, "I can." So what did Josh O'Connor discover in this data for this Wardex company that he can understand the alien language, and there's like aliens here, and he's like the only one that really knows it and can communicate with them? Or is there other people out there that can also hear this message clearly. I'm very curious on where this is gonna go, but he's like, I can hear it, and then it cuts to black. So on to the next portion of this trailer.
What's happening to me?
People are starved for the truth. I'm a part of it now. I'm just sorry that they made you a part of it too. Hello, Jane. Please. Have a seat.
Oh man, this just keeps getting more and more interesting, because some of the shots from the previous trailer that didn't make a whole lot of sense, maybe they're starting to make sense, and I'll tell you where my theory's going. But just at the start of that clip, we see an older woman and like this CEO of Wardex there, and what is that guy's name? I think he's either the Kingsman or he was Shawshank Redemption. I think he was Kingsman though. But either way, you know, this CEO, we cross behind his head, and it goes from like this older blonde woman to the brunette Emily Blunt. So something's going on there that like it's somebody else, but he's seeing the other person, and then this must also be affecting Emily Blunt, because she's like, what's happening to me? And then we see Coleman Domingo's character saying people are starved for the truth, and he must be maybe a conspiracy guy, or maybe he's like a reporter or something, or maybe he just works for this company, but he's like, people are starved for the truth. And we see, you know, cops rushing into a place, and we see that girlfriend of Josh O'Connor's character hiding out in the woods and hiding behind a tree, and there's like flashlights looking for her and cop lights in the background. And Josh O'Connor's character says, I'm a part of it now, and I'm just sorry that they made you a part of it too. And we see her walk into her kitchen with that CEO guy of Wardex sitting at the table, and he's not actually sitting at the table, but he seems to know this character's name, and it seems like Josh O'Connor's girlfriend's name is Jane, and he's like, hello, Jane. So she sits down at the table, but it's like this trippy sequence where she's like not sitting across from anybody, but she clearly sees this guy sitting there, and he sees her, but like, how is he able to be in her house talking to her, but also be back at Wardex? Like, are they transferring their consciousness somewhere, or are they like attaching themselves to her brain waves to show her an image in her brain? Like, how does this work? Is it all through the eyes, because we see his eyes are bright blue, and in a different shot they're not, but we see him back at Wardex holding like this orange vial, and he's hooked up to like machines. So maybe doing this and like transferring your consciousness to wherever he's, you know, at her house, maybe this, you know, affects your system, and maybe if you do it too long, you go into the seizure or something. I don't know, but I have a feeling that it's going to be explained during the movie. But this little orange vial in his hand, he's like turning it, and then it cross cuts to shots of her hand. So maybe like they're doing this like ritual together, and he's at Wardex doing this, and she's at her house doing this, and maybe that's how they like transfer physical objects to her hand or something. I don't know. But then like as she does this motion and like finishes clapping, we see shots from the previous trailer of this young girl in this room, and a deer walking in a red cardinal landing on his antlers, and then the three of them and maybe like a raccoon or something walking towards this house in the middle of the woods with the lights on coming out of this house like it's glowing or being haunted or something. Or maybe this is like a UFO that's just disguised as a house or something, and she was abducted as a little child or something. I don't know. But, you know, this first like thought of seeing this image next to the image we just saw made me go, oh, okay, so is this CEO guy, is he her father, right? So does Josh O'Connor's character work at her, you know, his girlfriend's father's place? You know what I mean? Like, is it that type of deal? You know, because just the way that he's like, have a seat, Jane, and they're talking, either she was also an employee at this place, or maybe he knows her personally and like either just knows her through Josh O'Connor's character and is like, we're looking for your boyfriend Daniel, or like is he like, hey honey, it's been a long time, nice to see you again, I'm sorry I've been such a bad dad, you know, I don't know. But that's kind of the vibe that this gave me just from like my initial thoughts seeing this. I was like, are those two related? Maybe, maybe not, but the trailer goes on and we get into some crazier stuff, so on to the next portion of this trailer.
This 79-year terror campaign of lies has to end.
What are you gonna do?
Full disclosure to the whole world.
That truth will upend all established order across the entire world. If you do this, there's no undoing it.
Oh boy, this summer, dude. Spielberg just knows how to make a movie, man. Like, he's got all this dialogue and this interesting idea, but then he goes, people also want some action and a little bit of, you know, you know, like they need something to keep them engaged and keep them going like, holy shit, this is crazy, you know? As much as like a sci-fi movie can just be crazy just with the alien stuff, this seems to have great dialogue, great writing, great story, but then also will have great acting and great visual effects and great action, you know, like, ooh, this is gonna be something else. But we see Coleman Domingo's character at the beginning of that saying, this 79-year terror campaign of lies has to end. Ooh, so damn near 80 years they've been lying, and he's like, this has to end. And then we see a shot of like a board that says Roswell, New Mexico, and it's like black and white footage, and maybe some guys harvesting like aliens from, you know, 79 years ago at Roswell, New Mexico. You know, maybe tying in real life alien drama where like Roswell, New Mexico seems to be a hot spot for aliens, or at least it was back in the day. We haven't necessarily heard new reports coming from today, you know what I mean? But seems Spielberg's still very interested in these aliens nonetheless, where like, you know, I think he made a movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that was also kind of set in New Mexico, if I'm not mistaken, you know, and had to deal with aliens and stuff like that. But yeah, this seems like it's gonna be dealing with the past, and then there's, like I was saying, great action as we see a car drive out of this person's house, and Josh O'Connor seems to be driving, and it's like, what are you gonna do? And he's like, full disclosure to the whole world. So he's got this information against this company, or you know, this company's hiding the evidence of aliens type of thing, and Josh O'Connor's character's like, I have to disclose this information to the whole world. So maybe that's what this whole thing's about, and it's just this guy trying to give the world the information that they deserve, and this other company's trying to hide it. Maybe. Then we see that same CEO character holding that orange device thing in this room with a bunch of medical guys around him, and he's got like little devices hooked up to his temples, but we see his eyes go from brown to black to blue, so that must be how he communicates or something through different places. But this character also says that the truth will upend all established order across the entire world. Ooh. And then we see them like chasing his character, and we see like a blackout happen and all the lights go out, so maybe this is like the aliens arriving. But then we cut to the CEO guy saying, you do this, there's no undoing it. And then we see shots of Josh O'Connor's character with Emily Blunt, and he seems to be trying to help her, and some guys behind them start to try to push their car into the train, and then another train seems to be oncoming on the other tracks, and they have to jump on top of it, and Josh O'Connor's like, jump now! And Emily Blunt's sitting there like, I don't do stunts like this. But this summer, man, and oh, this trailer's been really good so far, but there's only one portion of this trailer left, so let's finish this bad boy out, shall we?
Why would they do this?
When the time is right, everything will become clear.
Whatever happens, don't you let go.
Wow. Weird, unsettling clicking. And then at the end of that there, we got, you know, story by Steven Spielberg, screenplay by David Koepp, directed by Steven Spielberg, in theaters and exclusively experience it in IMAX June 12th. Wow, that trailer looks unbelievable. But just at the beginning of that last little clip there, we see that little girl walking towards that glowing house. And, you know, now I'm thinking, is that a young Jane? Is this a completely different character entirely? Or is this maybe a young Emily Blunt's character? Because we go from shots of like the door opening and the young child about to walk into it, to then it looks like Emily Blunt on the inside of this house as she opens up a door, and, you know, like glowing lights are like looking towards her, and, you know, she picks up a handful of crayons as she says, why would they do this? And we see things like happening in the room, and she's like watching it all happen. Interesting. And then we see shots of like a little girl's eyes. I have no idea. But then we hear Coleman Domingo's character saying, when the time is right, everything will become clear. And then we see some strange shots of like the CEO guy, and he's like biting down on a mouthpiece. And then we cut over to a shot of like out in the streets and a car flipping over, and it looks like a puddle is doing this damage, but it doesn't look like there's anything actually there. It looks like there's just like a force moving through the puddle causing all this damage. So maybe they're using the water as a weapon, or maybe there's something that's there that's CGI'd out at the moment. So maybe this is going to be replaced by a UFO at some point during the film. I don't know. Maybe there's just like these invisible alien threat that we won't see for the entire movie, and then we'll see at the end or something. I don't know. But, you know, it seems like two hands are in this light booth and they're like reaching out and touching. But then we cut to a shot of Josh O'Connor and Emily Blunt's hands touching and holding hands as a third hand like escapes out of there. And it's kind of a cute shot where like the two of them are holding hands, and she's like, whatever happens, and he's like, don't you let go, as we see her getting brainwave tests ran on her and shit, so people must think she's crazy. I don't know what's up with this. And then we see her like looking up as like a bright glowing light shows on her face, and then we cut to shots of a UFO glowing emerging out of the clouds, like, you know, kind of like reminds me a little bit of Nope and Jordan Peele's UFO take on, like, what was his called, Jean Jacket or something like that. But Nope was a pretty good UFO movie nonetheless. But this UFO coming out of the clouds, I mean, we don't get a whole lot of a glimpse at it, but it looks like some Steven Spielberg magic, and we hear some creepy clicking. Disclosure Day. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That is another exquisite trailer. June 12th. That's coming up faster than we know it. It's March 12th when I'm breaking down this trailer. This video will probably come out Friday though. So March 12th, and we're what, June 12th? So we're what, 3 months out from this film? Oh, I really can't wait, y'all. Steven Spielberg UFO film back in theaters. I don't know if I've ever saw a UFO Steven Spielberg film in theaters. Maybe Indiana Jones 4, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, if that counts, but not really. That was one of the only Indiana Jones films I was able to see in theaters, because obviously the first three I wasn't alive for. But seeing it, being able to see, like, you know, even the last one, Dial of Destiny, in theaters, like, we need more Indiana Jones movies, man. We need more things like this. We need Spielberg putting out masterpieces like this. So, you know, and the Oscars is coming up this weekend, so I can't wait to see that. And, you know, it's down to like 2 movies that really are probably going to win Best Picture, and that's like One Battle After Another and Sinners. And to me, Sinners should win, but boy, oh boy, I do not envy the Oscars next year, because they're going to have to fight against The Odyssey, Disclosure Day. I mean, not that the Oscars will count it, but like Avengers Doomsday, Dune Part 3, like Supergirl. Like, there's so many movies coming out this year that are going to be bangers and like just really good movies. Project Hail Mary is about to come out. That's apparently really good too. So like, I do not envy the Oscars next year trying to pick Best Picture, although there should be a bunch of great movies to pick from. You know what I mean? But comment below your thoughts on Disclosure Day and Steven Spielberg films. If you have any Steven Spielberg film or UFO film recommendations for me, drop those down in the comment section below. I would love to hear those. I would love to watch those for y'all and do a movie review that will be up on the channel. But yeah, stay tuned for June, where we will be reviewing and reacting to this movie when it comes out and I finally get to feast my eyes on it in theaters. But there will probably be at least one more trailer if I had to guess between now and June, but this one will probably be the one that's playing in theaters for the next couple months, you know, a little 2.5-minute official trailer, where the other one felt more like a teaser. But the official trailer for Disclosure Day, that's it. That's a wrap for me. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this trailer reaction and breakdown. And if you guys have your own thoughts about Disclosure Day, I would love to hear those. If you want to put those down in the comment section below, or you can send them to me on my other social medias. Links for those down in the description below. But if you've made it this far into the video and you would like to support the channel, the best way of doing that is liking this video, commenting down in the comment section below, subscribing if you haven't already, and hitting that bell so you don't miss future trailer reactions and future movie Steven Spielberg content and all types of stuff, and you'll get the notifications when those come out. Once again, my name is Big Cam, and I will see you gorgeous folks in the next video. Peace.